Okay, we're going to continue on talking about some words that you need to know for this research paper that you're working on. So today we're going to talk about some words related to sources and citations. So let's start with a really obvious, easy one, an electronic source. What is an electronic source? It is a technology-based source. It's one that uses, electricity, okay? It's something like a website, a database, or a video. That would be in contrast to a print source, right? As easy as that. That's what an electronic source is. A database is a place where you can find an electronic source, okay? A database is an online collection of published works, okay? It is almost like it's an online library where you can find short articles, or long articles. A database will be searchable. Okay, so it will have a little search engine within it. It will often provide citation information, which is really helpful, and it will contain full text articles. The good thing about databases is that most, if not all, their sources on the database will be peer-reviewed or pre-screened. That's especially true for the app Destiny Discover. Now, Destiny Discover isn't a database in itself, or it kind of is, but Destiny Discover is the app that you are going to use to do your research, or most likely. Destiny Discover is a one-stop shop, okay? This is something that Valley Christian pays for the license for you to have. All right, so you have access to Destiny Discover with your, Canvas username and password. Destiny Discover is an app that includes database articles, again, which means they're peer-reviewed and pre-screened websites, which I think is really, really helpful because instead of just going on Google and blindly searching for a website, it actually gives you websites that have good information related to your topic. If you type in, harmful effects of television or whatever, it'll have websites that will give you good information that has been pre-screened by librarians or other English teachers so that you can better trust the information that's there rather than some, blog from Joe Schmo who's writing about television, okay? This Destiny Discover app also has ebooks, and it allows you to search for hard copy books that are present and available in our library on campus. Okay, so it's actually really a helpful app because you can do one search, harmful effects of television, and it will give you options for databases, for pre-screened websites, for ebooks. And like I said, if we have something related to that topic in our library, then it'll tell you, hey, we have this book and you can come check it out, or you can come make copies of it or whatever. Okay, our library is a great resource for you. Some examples of databases that are actually on Destiny Discover and that Destiny Discover uses. Again, Valley Christian gives you the license to use these. Gale in Context is probably the #1 database that you guys will be working with and use throughout your time in high school. SIRS Issues Researcher is also helpful. That specifically focuses on kind of not controversial issues, but societal issues, and it'll help you kind of navigate those. Bloom's Literature is a literary database, so if you're ever looking for a literary criticism about a book that you're reading, that's the place to go. Salem Online Reference, that's a reference center, as it would suggest. So it's got information about all of them. Those are probably the top databases that you're going to use while you're in high school, okay? A search engine is not exactly like a database because it's got a whole lot of wild other non-pre-screened materials there, okay? But it is an internet tool that helps you to find websites, right? You can, type in something on Google and then they'll, pop up with all sorts of hits. But I want to make something clear. A search engine is not a source. I one time asked a student, I said, hey, where'd you find this article? And what I meant was who's the author? What's the title? And they were like, Google. I was like, no, that's how you found the article, right? But it's not where the article comes from. Where the article comes from is the website itself, right? So just be aware. I've also seen students, this one boggled my mind. Under works cited, I had somebody list, just their whole citation was Google. I was like, oh no, that doesn't work, okay? So a search engine is a tool to help you find sources, but I want you guys to really be using Destiny Discover or something where it actually pre-screens things for you. A print source is in contrast to an electronic source. If an electronic source is something that uses electricity or technology, a print source is a paper source, something that is on paper, like a book, a magazine, or a pamphlet. Okay? Simple as that. Periodicals. Sometimes in databases, you can actually check the word periodical, and what it will do is it'll filter through and just give you magazines, newspapers, and journals. These are called periodicals because they are periodically published, right? Something like Time magazine is published every so often, right? So whether that means weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, they are periodically published, and that's why they are called periodicals, magazines, newspapers, and journals. Authority, okay? You can look at it two ways, although both forms of the word work. An authority as a person is a recognized expert on the topic, okay? If I'm researching, cancer treatments, all right? If I'm doing that, then I want somebody who has the authority, who is an authority on the matter. I don't want, Mrs. Lee with a master's degree in education to give me information about cancer research. Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm not an authority on cancer research. The other way to use the word authority is to say that somebody has authority, right? It's a thing. If we say that somebody has authority, then they are an authority, meaning they have the power or right to make claims on a particular subject. Again, depending on what field of study you're looking at, different people have varying levels of authority, right? If you're going to ask me about technology and education, I would be considered an authority on that because I have a master's degree in digital teaching and learning, and I use technology in my classroom. However, if you're asking me about, the harmful effects of television, I'm not a scientist. I haven't done those studies, so I'm not an authority on that, or I don't have authority to talk about that. Bias is when an article or when an author has an unfair preference for or dislike of something. It's just something to be aware of. Most people have some sort of bias somewhere. What you want to be on the lookout for, though, is if the research that's being done is being done by a company that has a special interest in it. Okay? Like if the research being conducted is being done by a pharmaceutical company that's trying to push forth their medication, okay, then their research might be skewed in favor of their medication. Okay, so you want to just kind of be aware that people have ulterior motives when they're giving research sometimes. So be aware of that. For the most part, I don't think you'll encounter too much, especially if you're using database sources, but it's just something to be aware of, right? We often think of bias as just something in the political sphere, right? That you have like a political bias one way or the other. But it's not always that simple. It's not just, it's not just in the political sphere. MLA, and I do want you to write down what that stands for. MLA stands for Modern Language Association. These are the wizards that sit atop their, castle somewhere that determine the format for research papers and citations. So when you say, Mrs. Lee, I don't know why you care so much about the heading. I don't exactly, but I do. I want you to be able to follow it, but I'm not the one who makes the rules. So if you're going to ask me, well, why does the author always come first? Well, I think that's a fair one, right? That you want to give credit to the person who wrote it. But if you're going to ask me, why does the period go on the outside of the parentheses? I don't know. That's what MLA said. Okay. So MLA stands for Modern Language Association, and that's something you will have to follow in this research paper. A citation on a works cited page is a bibliographic, or it includes bibliographic information about your sources, like the author, title, date published, etc. It should be formatted according to MLA requirements. That is something that we will review again this semester, but it's also something we practiced a little bit last semester. The copyright page is the page within a source that provides publishing information needed for your works cited page. More often than not, if we're looking at a book, the copyright page is at the very, very beginning. However, sometimes it's at the very end. So you just have to kind of look around for it. Plagiarism, you guys know this one. You guys probably don't even know what that picture means, though. Control-C and Control-V. That means copy and paste. Plagiarism is the act of taking ideas, thoughts, or words from a source other than yourself without giving credit to that source with a citation on the works cited page and an in-text citation. You need both, okay? And notice too, plagiarism is not just about copying something word for word or doing the copy-paste thing. Plagiarism is also taking the thoughts of someone else. Maybe even if you put it in your own words, if you take someone else's thoughts and you don't give credit to that person, that's also plagiarism, okay? The best way to cover yourself is to include a citation and just say, hey, look, I didn't get this from my own brain. This is from somebody else. A general guide to understanding written plagiarism. Is it your idea? Yes. If it is, then great. You're not plagiarizing. If it's not, then you might be paraphrasing it. If you are using quotation marks or placing it in a quote, great. That's awesome as long as you cite it. So you guys can kind of follow this chart here, right? Either way, cite it. Add a citation and add a works cited citation, okay? Or add an in-text and works cited citation. All right? And that'll do it.